Hello there, welcome to Can Sanity. Today we're going to be canning some pickled roasted bell peppers. So let's get started. Okay, so if you love peppers, this is a must recipe because you cannot buy this type of flavor in a store-bought roasted bell pepper. If you buy them in a store, they're going to be really vinegary and you're not going to taste the deliciousness that red bell peppers have. And so the first order of business is to start off with a beautiful farm fresh red pepper. And look at the size of these red bell peppers. When you buy them at the market, they're beautiful. They're large, they have thick walls, and so they're perfect for roasting. So the first order of business is to go to the farmer's market and buy those fresh, beautiful, big red bell peppers. Okay, so then the only other ingredients that you're going to need is vinegar. And I like to use white wine vinegar mostly in this recipe, and then just a little bit of distilled, just because of the amounts. It's for this recipe, you're going to have 8 pounds of bell pepper, and you're going to have 4 cups of the white wine vinegar and half a cup of the distilled. So it just makes it easy because the bottles are sold in 500 mils. So you can use just distilled white vinegar, but I like to use the white wine vinegar because it adds a depth of flavor. And then the other ingredients are just going to be garlic, whole cloves of garlic. 6 you're going to peel and put in a dish so you're ready to go. And 2 tablespoons of pickling salt and 2 tablespoons of sugar. And that's your ingredients. Okay, so I have my oven preheating to the highest temperature, 500 degrees Fahrenheit. And I have my baking sheet lined with some tin foil so it will catch the drips as the peppers cook. And you're basically just going to blacken the outsides. So put it in the oven, check it every couple minutes, every say 4 minutes, and turn them until they're all blackened and blistered on the outside. Okay, so while the peppers are charring, we're just going to prepare the brine. And there's 500 mils in each of these bottles, so that's 2 cups. And so I can just go ahead and pour these out into my pot. And it would go faster if I just took the plug out, so maybe I won't do that. So you can just take that right out, and that's much faster. And then half a cup of the distilled vinegar. Two tablespoons of pickling salt. And 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar. And that's your brine. Now I'm not going to heat it yet, because we're going to have to peel the pepper, cool the peppers a bit, and then peel them. And so, but at least it's ready to go when I want to heat it and use it. Okay, so while your peppers are roasting and charring, make sure to preheat your water bath canner. And it takes about 20 minutes for this big pot of water to heat up and get to a full rolling boil. So preheat it. And the other thing, put your jars in a 225 degree Fahrenheit oven to sterilize. I put my jars in for 10 minutes and then they're sterilized. They're charring on the other side. Okay, so it took 25 minutes for these to blacken all over, and I've let them cool, and you see as they cool they slump down a bit, and so now you're just going to peel them and take the seeds out. So I'm just going to start. And there's lots of water in them, so just take your seeds out. And then you're just going to want thick pieces, so it might still be a little bit hot to handle. So the peel should come off really nice and easy now that it's blistered and blackened. And you see that it doesn't have to be black for it to, for the peppers to be, for you to be able to peel the peppers. You'll see that the skin is shriveled and blackened. And so then you have a nice pepper. It's going to go in your jars. So I wouldn't cut them any smaller than this. This is a nice size because you're going to, what I like to do is I like to use these on sandwiches. They are excellent on chicken parmesan sandwiches, roast beef sandwiches, good on burgers. And they're excellent diced and chopped up and put in potato salad. Okay, so I have my sterilized jars. I always sterilize an extra one just in case there's a couple peppers left over, and it's also handy to put your funnel on. So that's just my habit. And so you're just going to put in a garlic clove in each of your 6 jars, and then you're going to start to fill. Now, you just fill them so that they're loosely in there. You don't pack them down. So you can use your funnel if you want, but actually with peppers you don't really need to worry about that for this part. Just drop them in. And I have my brine all ready to go. I heated it up till it was boiling and then I shut it off. So the salt and the sugar is dissolved. I don't know why, but these peppers always remind me of fish fillets. I guess just growing up in Northern Ontario, eating a lot of fish, a lot of walleye, pickerel. I don't know why, it just reminds me of that. It doesn't at all smell like fish, it smells like beautiful roasted red peppers. So you don't want to pack your peppers down because you want to make sure that there's room for the vinegar, because you need to have that acid balance, because peppers are not a high acid vegetable. So you want to make sure that there's a lot of room for your vinegar. And so I just pretty much eyeball it till it just gets to the neck of the jar. And then that's good, and you can see how it's almost like bang on in the quantities. That was 8 pounds of peppers roasted. It's just going to be just right perfect. I've made this pickled pepper for, I don't know, maybe 20 years now. And we always love it. Okay, so now you don't want the peppers to come up any higher than a ½ an inch from the top. So that's just one tip, but see how it's just stopping around the neck? And some have just a little bit more. I'm just looking at them. And it's just stopping at the neck, you can see. Okay, that looks good. Okay, so now you're going to put your brine in. Okay, so now you're going to fill your brine. Put your brine till it's half an inch from the top. So I always put a spoon in my boiling hot water too, because a spoon or a knife, which is a knife in here too, because you want to make sure you get the air bubbles out. I have boiling hot water here. That's where my funnel was in, and that's where my ladle was in as well. You want to make sure that your brine is boiling hot when you're putting it in your jars. You don't want it to cool down, because you don't want the jar to cool down completely, because then when you go to put it in the boiling water canner, you could blow out the bottom of the jar. So make sure that your brine is hot, boiling hot. So I've just gone around just to warm up those peppers, and keep the jar warm, and now I'm just going to get the air out. So I'm just going to go along and just press on the sides just to make sure that you get any air bubbles out. And the reason why you do that is you don't, if you have an air pocket in there, then you're not, and it settles, you're not going to have the proper headspace. So you want to make sure that before you finish filling, that you get all the air out. This is an important step for this kind of pickle. And you can use a plastic, a thin plastic utensil. I have a Tupperware orange peeler that I use sometimes, and you can use a chopstick. Seen that done. A lot of air in there because there's all those peppers just folded down on top of one another. When you've done all this work now, you want to make sure that you get your jars so that they seal, so that you can enjoy this all winter long. Now I'm going to go and finish filling to 1/2 inch. And I need my glasses. This is an important step. Don't rush it. Make sure that you get to 1/2 inch, because this will determine if your jars will seal. Like if you're a little less, your jars might not seal. If you're a little more, they might not seal. If you're unsure what 1/2 inch from the top looks like, get a ruler out. I've done so much canning over the years, so I can eyeball it. Now you're going to wipe the rim of the jar with a hot cloth. So I just take a paper towel and dip it in boiling hot water and just run it along the rim. If there's any brine on there or seed, it could affect your seal, so make sure you do this step. Okay, so now you're just going to check it one more time, make sure you've got the head space. Because if you don't have the head space, it's not going to seal. So it's settled a little bit, so I think I can add just a couple drops more here, a couple of drops there. Jars around. Also, make sure that you have a flat surface. If you're doing it on top of your stove top and it's not level, you're not going to get that headspace right. So make sure your surface is completely flat. Okay, so now I take the boiling hot water that I had my funnel and my ladle in there, and I just throw my washed snap lids in there for 30 seconds. And I started up my preheated water again because I want it to be at a full boil ultimately when I put them in. And now we'll add the rings. And the rings you just do to fingertip tight. And if your rings have a dent in them, don't use them. It might affect your seal. If you go to put the ring on it and it gives you a lot of trouble, don't use it. It's likely to have a dent somewhere in there, and that also might affect your seal. Just a fingertip tight. You want the air to come out of the jars. So when you put this into your water canner, the metal will expand and allow the air to come out. Okay, so we're ready to go. Okay, as you can see, my canning pot is at a full boil. Water's at a full boil. And so now I'm just going to put my jars in, and just going to lower them slowly. I'm going to make sure that there's lots of room around the jars so that the water will flow around. So I go 1 inch between the jars, 1 inch above the jars, and I try to keep 1 inch away from the pot too. So you see that bubbling as you put it into the pot. That's air coming out of your jar. Okay. I see that I have a lot of water in there, so I'm just going to scoop some out. Only because I don't want this to be too messy here, so I have like about 3 inches above. I'm just going to scoop a little bit out. You only need 1 inch above the top of the lid. So put that on and bring that back up to a full boil. Rolling boil, and once it reaches that full rolling boil, I can start my timer for 10 minutes. Okay, so after the 10 minutes, I shut my burner off and I left the lid on and left the jars in the pot for another 5 minutes, and so now they're ready to come out. And you do that, shut off the pot and leave it for 5 minutes because it helps prevent some of the liquid from coming out of the jar when you take it out of the pot. So it's called venting. So when you take the jars out, just lift them straight up. Don't worry about the bit of water that's on the top. It'll evaporate. And you're just grabbing at the neck, not the ring. Neck of the jar. Okay, so I'm super excited that all my roasted, pickled red peppers are canned, and we are going to enjoy those beautiful peppers all winter long. Now, I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that if you are enjoying our CanSanity videos that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. And don't forget to go to cansanity.com to check out this recipe and all the other fantastic recipes waiting there for you. Have a great day.